Here's a question. What's in a name? Well, a lot, according to every San Francisco local. In case you've been living under a rock for the past century, there has been a constant debate about what to call the city, what the best name for San Francisco is. You have visitors come here who don't know anything about the city, and they call it the city by the bay, Frisco, a total and utter cesspool of a city. That's a little bit harder to sell on a t-shirt. So in order to help the visitors, the new residents, and even some indecisive locals, what I'm going to do is find out what the best nickname for San Francisco is, using mostly unjustified metrics to give you a complete arbitrary rating. But still, I'm going to do it. First up, okay, so we have SF, which is probably the most iconic. It's the easiest to remember. It's descriptive. It's everywhere. It's on every sweatshirt and hat on down in Fisherman's Wharf. Most locals will use this one. Now, I would say the only problem with this one is that it's boring. Like, there's no flair to it at all. It's just two letters, and two letters that aren't really that fun to say. It doesn't have the same ring as LA or NYC or even DC. It sounds more like you're sighing than saying a city name. Regardless, it's probably going to be on the top of the list just because, well, we only have one so far, but it's the one that I probably use the most out of any of these names. So there you go. Number one. Number two. So this one is probably the most controversial. It's a contraction of the second part of the city name, Francisco, to Frisco. I mean, if you have a friend whose name is Francisco, you're probably not going to call him Frisco. This name is probably the most hated name by the locals here, even though it's maybe the most pervasive in all of media. Like, there are songs. It's a name that will haunt everyone who lives here until they die. It's going to be on their tombstone. Although I will give it points for bringing the city together to hate the name. This one goes at the bottom of the list. Next one is Fog City. Now, I think this one's okay. I haven't really heard it much, but it does sound like it's also the most reductive out of all the names. I mean, I love the fog. I love the mist. I love the general cold of the city. Okay, I don't like the cold, but I like the atmosphere that the fog creates. But the city is more than just fog. Not to mention both Daly City and Pacifica are on average more foggy than San Francisco, but they don't wear it nearly as well. They just look kind of desolate, whereas SF looks magical. So I'm going to put this one below SF, but above Frisco. Yeah. Okay, San Fran. So this one is a bit lazy. I mean, it rhymes, but it does get points off just for simply shortening the name. Like, no sane person would call Santa Monica Santa Mon or Los Angeles Los Ang. I mean, maybe Frisco apologists might defend it, but it's just dull. So this one goes very low on the list. Above Frisco, but low. All right, next on this list is 415. That's not a nickname, that's just a number. 415 is the area code for San Francisco. When you say 415, you know exactly who you're talking about. When you say 650, you're going to be talking about Daly City, but also South San Francisco and maybe Burlingame and all these other little cities. But when you say 415, you know exactly who you are. You. Right there. The name or number also has a little bit of symmetry to it. You know, it's got the 4 and it's got the 1 in the center with the line, and then the 5 at the end. It's kind of like the Golden Gate Bridge. I guess you could kind of shove it together to make it look like the bridge. But anyway, it's a good one. I'm going to be putting this one in the middle, above San Fran and Frisco, but below SF for now. All right, we are moving on to the city by the bay. When you say the city by the bay, everyone knows what you mean. They don't mean Chesapeake Bay, they mean the San Francisco Bay. Now, this is more of a description type of nickname. The problem I have with them is that they are a little too long. I think they're good when you're struggling for a synonym to use in a Washington Post hit piece, but they're not really so good in conversation. So I'm going to put this again above San Fran and Frisco, but nowhere near the top. It's going to go below Fog City and 415. So next up we have Baghdad by the Bay. Now, this one was coined by the San Francisco journalist Herb Caen, who is a native San Franciscan and is also someone who hated the term Frisco. Now, it's not the easiest nickname to explain, but it has something to do with how ethnically diverse the city is. This one's going to go way low on the list just because every time you say it, you're going to have to take 2 minutes to explain exactly what you're talking about. Here we go. So the city is the next one here. Next to SF, this is the one that I use most of the time. It's simple, it's elegant. The one problem with this one is that people outside of Northern California won't know what you're talking about, which means that this one is geographically situational. So if you never intend on leaving the Bay Area, this one's for you. But the fact that you can't use this one outside of here kind of hurts its ranking a bit, but it's up near the top. It's just right under SF. Okay, next we have the Golden City. This one's definitely the most anachronistic out of all of them, just because the gold rush and there's no more gold here. Okay, the Golden State Warriors, I guess. Gold shops? You can sell gold? Yeah, it's outdated and it's kind of a bait and switch. We stopped telling people that America's streets were paved with gold a long time ago, so let's just stop lying. The Golden City can go all the way near the bottom. It can share a bunk with Frisco in the basement. All right, the next one is a double feature. This is going to be both Yay area and Bay area. Now, I don't even know exactly where to start with these because they're not true San Francisco nicknames. They're not talking about San Francisco, they're talking about all of the Bay Area. But it does get points, or both of them do get points for having fun with the name. Obviously, Bay Area is a riff off of the word bay, which is short for babe. So, babe area. And Yay area, if you don't know, is a phrase coined from the hyphy movement back in the mid-2000s. I do have to give points for this name just because of how much pride a lot of those artists brought to the people living here in the Bay Area. They came up with something completely new and something that we can be proud of. So I'm going to put Bay Area, B-A-E area. I'm going to put this one, I'm going to say it's above Fog City, but just barely. And as for Yay area, I'm going to say that one goes above 415. But really, these should be in a different category because technically they're not San Francisco nicknames, but I talked about them for a long time anyway. Oh well. All right, so that's the end of my list. I'm going to check if I missed any. Succa-Free City, which I'm not really going to go into this just because I'm not an expert on the origins of this name and where it came from. But according to Wikipedia, the name actually comes from the slang that people used to describe the city who were from Hunters Point and the Fillmore. There's also Paris of the West, which, I mean, that's great. I don't think people use that name anymore. And like Baghdad by the Bay, it's a name that, you know, is going to confuse people because you're not actually talking about San Francisco. You're talking about, or you're referring to another city when referring to this city, which is a no-no. San Francisco, the city that knows how. Now, this one was used for the Panama Pacific International Expo, or the World's Fair that was here in 1915, which saw the construction of a huge, basically mini city alongside the waterfront. They called San Francisco the city that knows how, mostly because I guess we built all that stuff. Do we still know how to do things? I don't know. There you go, right there. That is the official ranking for San Francisco nicknames. They're going to be teaching this one in schools for years to come, I guarantee it. So let me know what you guys think of this list. If there's a name that I somehow forgot to put on here, leave it in the comments below. And also, if you guys could like this video, subscribe if you enjoyed and want to see more, you can hit the notification bell to get notifications about my next video. And I will see you all at the next spot. Bye. When San Francisco is foggy, it looks absolutely stunning. When Daly City and Pacifica and all the other suburbs are foggy, it looks basically like Silent Hill. I think it's kind of a stereotype for San Francisco locals to hate the name Frisco, but please, if you come here, if you live here, don't call it Frisco.